The Empire Strikes Back is not only my favorite Star Wars film, but it also features my favorite battle in the entire saga. Every time I watch this scene, I would imagine what was it like to be a hero for the rebellion. Well, that dream came true in the form of video games in the early 1980s.
You saw Luke Skywalker battle the Imperial walkers. Now bring the battle home. The Force was with Luke Skywalker. Will it be with you? Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back video game.
Alright, I know. She might not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid. In the early 80s, the Atari 2600 was the home video game console that everyone wanted. And once this cartridge was in, the couch became the cockpit of my snowspeeder, and I was on my way to defend Echo Base. And this was the first time I had ever heard music from one of my favorite films in a video game. I was Luke Skywalker leading the rebels into battle against the Empire. And throughout the 80s, this game was the perfect way to live out that fantasy. But as we rolled into the 90s and video games were changing, it was time for us as the players to change too. It was time for us to start playing with power.
What's it like to play the Nintendo Entertainment System? Entertainment System. Now you're playing with power.
The NES let me play as Luke Skywalker, ride a Tauntaun, fight Imperial probe droids, take on a Wampa with a lightsaber, and more. But the moment of truth had finally arrived. The Imperial walkers were on their way. The moment this level started, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was in full control of the snowspeeder, with a backdrop and a foreground of the planet Hoth. And then the first walker appeared. And this time, lasers weren't my only weapon. We were finally able to use the tow cable to take down the walkers. Taking down that first walker felt amazing. The graphics in this level alone were unlike any I had ever seen before. The walkers looked incredible, fully animated as they made their way towards Echo Base. And it was so easy to just pick up and play because the basic gameplay style from the Atari 2600 version remained intact. Using the tow cable was one of the biggest game changers, but the ammo was limited, so pretty soon I was going to have to rely on just my speeder cannons. Well, at least that's what I thought. Suddenly I was on foot again, and it turned out there was another way to take down these walkers. We could actually destroy the walker exactly how Luke did in the movie. And to my knowledge, as far as I know, this is the only video game that ever allowed you to do that. Once I realized that you could do this, I actually got shot down on purpose just so that I could do it again. In the first few years of the 90s, I replayed this level more times than I could count. And while I was replaying this game every time I watched The Empire Strikes Back, technology was changing rapidly in the 90s, especially when it came to video games. It wouldn't be long before the Battle for Hoth was taken to the next level.
Hey! You still don't have a Sega CD? What are you waiting for? Nintendo to make one? You have seen the games, right? Wrong answer, man. Show 'em! Want to see more?
Rookie 1, come in.
Return at once. Imperial walkers have been spotted near the outer perimeter. We're beginning to evacuate, but we need time.
I copy, Control. I'm on my way.
Star Wars Rebel Assault was released on the Sega CD in 1993. And like most Sega CD games, it featured full motion video with CD quality audio. This time around, we didn't take control of Luke Skywalker or any of the main characters from the films. Instead, we play as a nameless character simply known as Rookie 1.
Arm yourself, guns? Now, follow me.
Rebel Assault used an on-rail shooter style, primarily seen in arcades at the time. This allowed the game to be story-driven, as it told its own story set within the major events within the original trilogy. For the most part, all you were truly in control of was your crosshair and firing, but occasionally you'd get an option to choose which way to go. You fight a single Imperial walker in this level, and that walker is highlighted by a lighter color than all the rest. The goal is to target and shoot each light-colored panel until the entire walker is turned to its classic color of gray. Sadly, the option to fire a tow cable, or even crash land your snowspeeder, jump out, and zip line up to the walker to take him out just like Luke Skywalker did, those options were gone. But that didn't stop me from replaying this game over and over and over. The full motion video, the CD quality audio, this was the first time I truly felt like I was in control of the movie. Eventually, you hit all of your targets, and you're treated to a cutscene of the walker falling face first into the snow.
Oh, great shooting. Now let's go home.
I didn't have a Super Nintendo as a kid. I had the Sega and the Sega CD, so I missed out on Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, and Super Return of the Jedi. I did get to play every once in a while when I went to a cousin's house or a friend's house, but for the most part, I didn't really get to experience these games when they were new. But from what I did get to see, especially the Battle on Hoth, these games looked amazing. I was, however, getting into PC gaming at the time, and because of that, I was able to experience one of the best expanded universe stories being created at that time, and it was known as Shadows of the Empire.
I've seen pulse cannons and gladiator droids. I've seen Beggar's Canyon and Imperial sewers. I've seen dead ends and infinite space. I've seen 360 degrees of tomorrow, and for once, lived to tell about it. Because I've got the ultimate fighting machine.
Shadows of the Empire was a unique experience for Star Wars fans, and that was because this story wasn't just being told in video games, it was also being told in novels and comic books as well.
Captain, I've established contact with the rebel outpost.
On the video game side, this game was heavily promoted for Nintendo's newest system, the Nintendo 64, when it released in 1996. Me not having an N64, I waited one more year and started my experience with Shadows of the Empire on the PC. Besides the noticeable difference in graphics, The biggest difference between the two versions was that the PC featured fully animated cutscenes that told a deeper story. It was no longer just about playing a game. We were an audience invested in a story. At the time, it felt like we had just received a brand new Star Wars film.
But it's been quite some time since you've flown an airspeeder in combat.
And this game wasted no time getting to the level that would be my favorite level in the entire game. Because wouldn't you know it, the very first level is the Battle for Hoth.
Rogue group, we need to give our transports time to escape. Take out those Imperial
Shadows of the
droids.
Empire
Careful
starts
not to
during
shoot
the
our
events
own
of
turret.
Empire Strikes Back, then eventually worked its way beyond the film into events between Empire and Return of the Jedi. You take control of the story's main character, Dash Rendar. He was on a secret mission helping Princess Leia assist the rebel forces, and ends up finding himself smack in the middle of a major conflict between the rebellion and the Empire. Each level is broken up by multiple objectives, usually about taking down certain targets. In the Battle of Hoth, we deal with probe droids, scout walkers, and then the Imperial walkers. With a full 360-degree view, you are in full control of your snowspeeder as you fly across this battlefield.
Try using your harpoon and tow cables on the AT-AT over the lakes. It might be our only chance of stopping them.
The tow cable was back, and this time you had unlimited ammo and full control over using it. It was up to you to tie up these walkers yourself. That wasn't always easy. While you try to master your flight controls and tie up these walkers, any and all remaining enemies are still firing at you while you attempt this. The cool thing though was, while you're wrapping up the walker, you can still fire also, so if you aim just right, you could take out some enemies while you're doing this. More and more enemies fill the battlefield as you go, but your objective stays the same. Clear out as many Imperial forces as you can before they reach the shield generator. The visuals were stunning and the music was right out of the films. This was by far the most immersive video game I had ever played based on the Star Wars universe. Every moment felt like it was right out of the movie, and hearing Luke Skywalker talk to you over the comms made it even better. And once you get a hang of the controls, you start taking down these walkers like a pro. But no matter how good you get at taking down Imperial walkers, we all know how this battle's going to end. As the journey through Shadows of the Empire came to an end, a new developer joined forces with LucasArts. Their intent was to bring flight and combat set in the Star Wars galaxy to a new level. Enter Factor 5. Just like Shadows of the Empire, Rogue Squadron was heavily promoted on the N64. But I wouldn't own a Nintendo 64 until I was an adult, So again, the PC version was the way to go for me. The game was set during and in between major events of the films. There were so many levels to choose from with so many different environments. But as far as I was concerned, there was really only one level I was looking for.
The transports can't escape unless the probe droids are gone.
The game had a familiar look and feel, but this time we had enhanced flight controls and far more detail in the environments. And for the first time since the X-Wing series, we could jump back into the cockpit view. Adding the first-person perspective took the immersion factor to a whole new level. And the battlefields themselves were far larger than we had seen in prior entries. Being able to explore Hoth from the seat of your snowspeeder was, well, it was pretty cool. But it wouldn't be long before the Imperial walkers started their assault on Echo Base. So what do we have to work with this time around as we defend Echo Base? We still have our laser cannons on our snowspeeder, which are very effective against the scout walkers. When it comes to the Imperial walkers, we're back to using the tow cables. And just like in Shadows of the Empire, it is a manual process that takes some time to get used to the controls. It gets a little tricky, and sometimes you even find yourself crashing into debris left behind from the vehicles you destroyed before. The biggest change introduced into this battle was your squadron itself. This time around, you actually have a team actively assisting you with your objective. Having your squadron with you throughout the battles would become a staple for the Rogue Squadron series.
One more pass. Cable out. Let her go.
The battle intensifies, and eventually the walkers are practically on top of the shield generator, as we head closer and closer to the inevitable conclusion.
Cable out. Let her go.
Good work, Rogue Squadron. The base has been evacuated. We'll meet you at the rendezvous point. And Luke, the Falcon made it out all right. Don't do anything foolish like running off to Dagobah.
It's been quite a journey so far as we played through the Hoth battle during the 80s and the 90s. So many developments over that time, with different developers assisting with LucasArts properties, and seeing this battle evolve as the years went on. It brought us closer and closer to truly living the film itself. And when we return for part 2, we're going to jump into a new console generation where Factor 5 not only met expectations, they exceeded them.
All wings report in. Red 10 standing by.
Red 7 standing by.
Red 3 standing by. Red 6 standing by. Red 9 standing by.
Red 2 standing by.
Red 11 standing by.
Red 5 standing by.
Blockade foils in attack position.
Too many of them.